Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am so glad you're tuning in today because we're tackling a foundational topic that literally saves lives, but honestly, it's so often taken for granted. We're diving deep into a comprehensive guide on medical laboratory safety. Specifically, we're going to look at the absolute non-negotiable role of personal protective equipment, or PPE, in protecting you against some pretty nasty stuff: harsh chemicals, dangerous microorganisms, and sharp objects. Whether you're a seasoned lab veteran or you're just here to refresh your core protocols, the procedures we're unpacking today are the literal bedrock of everything you do in the lab. Okay, let's dive right into this. Workplace safety is a top priority. Now, I know it's super easy to treat a phrase like that as just some generic corporate slogan, but in a medical laboratory, it is an absolute mandate. Way before any practical work begins, before you even think about pipetting a sample or peering into a microscope, your mindset has got to shift. The environment you're about to enter is controlled for a very specific reason. Prioritizing safety means recognizing that the risks in there are completely real. Your first job, before any scientific discovery happens, is to protect yourself and the integrity of your workspace. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 6 key areas. First, medical lab entry preparation. Second, knowing personal protective equipment. Third, correct steps for donning PPE. Fourth, safety protocols during practicum. Fifth, the PPE doffing sequence. And finally, number 6, safety is a shared responsibility. All right, jumping right into section 1, medical lab entry preparation. You know, a lot of people think lab safety starts the second you put on that white coat, but it actually starts out in the hallway. There are 4 mandatory physical preparations you have to do before you even cross the threshold. First up, stash your bags in a locker. You absolutely cannot have tripping hazards or outside contaminants messing up the workspace. Second, if you've got long hair, tie it back. Loose hair is a massive liability in a lab. It could literally catch fire on a Bunsen burner or accidentally dangle right into a sterile sample. No thanks. Third, take off all your jewelry. Rings and bracelets are basically notorious for harboring bacteria, and they can easily snag and tear your protective gloves. And finally, wash your hands thoroughly with soap or hand sanitizer. You want to make sure you're entering the space as a clean, blank slate. Total readiness is the goal here, guys. Moving on to section 2, knowing personal protective equipment. It's really helpful to think about how each specific piece of equipment maps directly to a critical vulnerability on your body. Your lab coat, that's your primary shield, covering your front and keeping your everyday clothing safe from spills. The mask is absolutely essential for protecting your nose, mouth, and chin from airborne particles. Gloves, obviously, are for your hands, since they're your main point of contact with any hazards. Then you've got protective goggles to defend your eyes against really dangerous chemical splashes. Now, for high-risk situations, a face shield kicks in to offer a crucial secondary layer of defense. And right down at the bottom, something people forget all the time: closed shoes. Seriously, no sandals, no exposed toes. If a beaker of acid drops off a counter, your feet need to be completely covered. Which brings us to section 3, correct steps for donning PPE. All right, here is the critical step-by-step sequence. I literally cannot stress this enough. The precise order you put this gear on matters tremendously. Step 1, wash your hands again. Yep, again. Step 2, throw on your lab coat and make sure every single button is fastened neatly. Step 3, put on your mask, checking that it securely covers your nose, mouth, and chin. Step 4 brings in the protective goggles. Step 5 is the face shield, but only if your specific task calls for it. And finally, step 6, put on your gloves. Now, the logic behind step 6 is super important. Why do the gloves go on absolutely last? Well, you need your bare, clean hands to securely adjust your mask, your goggles, and your coat buttons. If you put your gloves on first, you're risking contaminating the outside of those nice, clean gloves with whatever was lingering on your face or your clothes. So gloves go on last to seal the deal. Let's look at section 4, safety protocols during practicum. Okay, so you're in the active simulation phase. This is where the actual work, using micropipettes and live biological samples, happens. Out here, safety relies on your behavior just as much as your equipment. On one hand, you have your standard operating procedures, working safely, moving deliberately, properly utilizing that perfectly applied PPE. But on the flip side, you've got your strictly prohibited actions. And they highlight a really hard truth: even the absolute best gear in the world won't save you if you're doing dangerous things. If you touch your face with gloved hands, well, you've just entirely bypassed your own mask. If you pull out your mobile phone to check a quick text, you just transferred lab pathogens right onto a device that you're going to hold against your face later. And bringing food or drinks into the lab, that is a direct, terrifying path for ingesting toxic chemicals. The reality is, your gear is only ever as effective as your discipline. Time for Section 5, PPE Doffing Sequence. Before we walk through exactly how to take your gear off, we really need to pause and define the ultimate enemy of this phase, cross-contamination. This is basically the transfer of harmful substances or microorganisms from your contaminated PPE directly to your unprotected body or to the clean environment during the removal process. Just think about it for a second. Your gloves and your coat just spent hours intercepting hazards. They are covered in microscopic threats. If you strip them off carelessly, you are essentially smearing those threats right back onto your skin. Understanding this concept is exactly why the next sequence of steps has to be followed with, like, military precision. So here is how you defeat cross-contamination. Step 1, get rid of the dirtiest items first, your gloves. Step 2, instantly wash your hands. Why? Right then. Because peeling off those gloves might have slightly contaminated your hands and you're about to reach right up towards your face. Step 3, remove the face shield. Step 4, remove the goggles. Step 5, take off the lab coat, making sure to carefully peel it away from your body. Step 6, remove your mask. And finally, you end the exact same way you began, by washing your hands one last time. You probably caught the multiple hand-washing checkpoints in there. They aren't random. They're designed specifically to stop cross-contamination in its tracks. You are systematically de-escalating your exposure. Section 6, safety is a shared responsibility. So, what does this all mean? The absolutely crucial point here is that following these rules isn't just about fulfilling some annoying bureaucratic requirement to get a passing grade. It's a shared ethical responsibility. When you follow PPE protocols flawlessly, yes, for sure, you protect yourself. But honestly, more importantly, you protect your colleagues who are working right next to you. And if we zoom out even further, you protect the laboratory environment as a whole. A single lapse in judgment, like forgetting to wash your hands, keeping a ring on, or sneaking a phone into the workspace, can introduce a contaminant that literally ruins weeks of research or exposes the entire building to a pathogen. Safety is 100% a team sport. Which brings us to our final big takeaway. Safety first, use PPE correctly before starting practicum. It's a really simple sentence, but man, it carries the weight of everyone's well-being. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to chew on the next time you're standing outside those lab doors. Are your current lab habits actually protecting your colleagues, or are you secretly putting them all at risk every single time you rush through putting on your gear? Think about it. Knowledge is your best defense, and precision is your absolute best tool. Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with me today, and stay safe out there.